Hey guys, Justin here, American Mustang School. This is Harley. This is Piper. That's Harley. And they're going to help me with the videos today. What we're going to talk about are 5 main areas of our life and 5 obstacles that associate with that. Kind of try to give you some depth and understanding. 5 main areas of our life that we want to enhance. And then how does that cross over into our horsemanship? Well, horses are our guide. They're where we can look at ourselves, present ourselves to the horse, observe their feedback, be willing to make changes, present again for the most desirable results. We really are going inward, presenting outward to get feedback in a microcosm so that we can develop what? Awareness. We want to ascend in a conscious awareness. We want them to ascend in a conscious awareness. So 5 main areas of our life being health, wealth, happiness, relationships, spirituality. All of those things are important and we want to enhance those. Well, I've designed 5 obstacles to represent or cross over in explaining health, wealth, happiness, relationships, spirituality. And do you have something in your... So it's kind of one of those things where if you put it into practice, it starts to become clear. You start to understand it. So this first obstacle we're going to do is an infinity loop. And that's where breathing and movement merge together. That's where you get body awareness. What are my hands doing? What are my feet doing? How am I breathing? How are we moving? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What is my attitude? What are my actions? And then how does that get fed back to me from the horse? And that's where I get to find the center in all those things. Center in thinking, center in emotion, center in an attitude, center in action. Not swinging really wild on the pendulum, on polarity. Am I too soft? Am I not soft enough? Those things become clear as we engage in that. Moving and breathing, when those merge together, we start to synchronize together. We get an awareness. And this infinity loop's really, really cool. So as I talk with you about this, I'm going to change from a halter to a bitless bridle. And I wanted to show you that on this particular horse because he does not like his ears touched. He's really, really ear sensitive and very difficult to bridle. And he's different than all my other horses. Now, when I say very difficult to bridle, he's difficult bridling the way I bridle my other horses. I designed this bridle to where it'll come apart for long-eared mules and in a case like this where he just doesn't like his ears messed with. If I want to show Piper that I'm going to be a good leader, we'll say, I've got to care more about the one I'm leading than being the leader. So that's just kind of a brief explanation of a leader. There's more to it. But if I want him to understand, look, I have your best interest, number one, buddy, I'm going to show you that. I'm willing to change for the horse. So I wanted to just switch him over to a bitless bridle, and it just goes on like a halter would. You're going to put it on his nose like a halter, and then he's real ear sensitive. So I've learned over the years to just let him put it in at his rate, and we get it on. And you can see how he does that. And then at the end of the video, if I remember, I'll take it back off because he doesn't care with it coming off. So it's not like he's got an ear pain. It's one of those things that before I got him, something happened to him to where he's just really, really ear shy with bridles going over his ears. So anyway, back on track. We're going to ask him questions and get feedback from him that's going to allow me to know what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what's my attitude like, and what are my actions. Now, one of the really cool things about this exercise, this infinity loop, it's just what it sounds like. It's infinite. You can get on this, and it represents a lot of things. You can get on this obstacle, and you could do it infinitely. I mean, really. It's a figure 8. You actually can find your center. And here's a really cool thing with this obstacle. A horse, his eyes are on opposite sides of his head, so unlike us, ours are right in front. He can see where he's going and where he's coming from at the exact same time in the moment. How cool is that? I really think that's very cool. And it brings into a perspective that we can kind of do that too. Not maybe in the physical, but we can do it in the mental plane of existence. So we can think about our past right now in the present. We can think in our past, and then we have a choice right now how we choose to look at that past. We can look at it as it's something that happened to me or for me. We can look at it in the present to go forward of how I want to let my past affect my future. And that's what this infinity loop does. And then I can focus on my health and wellness. It's like once I'm on that infinity loop in the relationship with this horse, concerned with the 5 areas of our life, and then the 5 obstacles, how they correlate. We do a 5-part series of 5 questions to ask any horse questions, get a deeper understanding of them, get a deeper understanding of myself, and vice versa. That's really, really important. So we've done a lot to get to this point. However, this is something that you can do any stage of the game. Piper's done this many, many times. It's not like something new, but it's always something I can go back to. And it's really cool that way. So we've groomed for mindset. I skipped 5-part series. I have an ask him series of 5 questions. He's a seasoned horse. I pretty well know him. So it's kind of one of those things we can do series under saddle. So I'll still ask him questions to get a deeper understanding. How's he feeling? But I won't do it on the ground. I'm just going to skip that. I'm going to go right to riding. So we did a lateral flexion. We're going to come on. And then once I'm up here, he's using the bathroom, so I'll wait a second. But once I'm up here, I could do another right lateral. And he did it for me. What we're going to do is start focusing on, the mind, the body, the spirit. And we're going to synchronize all those 3 planes of existence together in this infinity loop. We're going to merge breathing and movement together. We're going to develop body awareness in myself and the horse. We're going to synchronize that together. So first thing we're going to do is just tip the nose to the left, apply a right leg, move off into this direction. And I like the way he just kind of slid off that and moved out of there really easy. So we'll just do a little walk around this infinity loop. And it's just 2 barrels. And we'll make a right turn. We'll come to the center, we'll switch hands. A left turn with a left rein and a right leg. Steering wheel and gas pedal, your reins and your legs. And he's going to Harley. I'll just ask him to do what it is I am wanting to do. So that brings into a perspective like, okay, he headed to Harley. I don't want to focus on don't head to Harley. I want to focus on doing this obstacle. And that's called increased focus. So I'll focus on what I want, not what I don't want. And that's, a horse can look forward and look behind him at the same exact time. And that's kind of like us. It's like, okay, as we do this infinity loop, the past becomes clear. What did he do a minute ago? He went toward Harley. What can I do to avoid that this time? I can be quicker in the timing and the rhythm and the pressures. I can pick up a rein quicker. I could be more deliberate in my communication. Maybe I wasn't given enough clear cue of what I was asking. And this is called the synchronization, moving and breathing together. So it's kind of one of those things, through experience, you'll develop the skill, and then the challenges get easier and easier. So I'm going to come to the center, and I'm going to pick up on a right rein. I'll hold the face till his feet stop moving and he gives to the pressure. And I'm going to relax my body. I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to drop my shoulders, my hips, my legs. And if he walked out, I'm just going to ask him, here, please stay here. We'll do another lateral flexion, 1 rein stop. And he did one on his own, and he went again. So he's telling me, I want to go closer to the camera, or I want to go closer to Harley. That's okay. I'll just wash, rinse, repeat the question. And this infinity loop behind us, we can do 5 of them, for example, and then we can stop. And then we can do 5 more, and then we can stop. And what that's going to tell us is what happened on the first one is going to look different than the third one. And this is a microcosm of this infinity loop. We're all on an infinity loop in the macro, in case you didn't know. But it's one of those things where you can bring it down into this physical plane and play with it right here on an infinity loop. So what's my body doing? What am I breathing as I'm moving? Is he breathing as he's moving? What's the timing? Is my timing off? What's the rhythm? All of these things become clear. So see, he's like, I'm gonna go to Harley, and then I just got to get more deliberate with the right rein, left leg, getting back on this infinity loop, bring myself into this moment right here, right now. Yeah, we are making a video, so I've got to kind of explain what's going on. But he knows when I leave, see, he's like, I'm going to go to Harley. Well, I got a little quicker and put that right rein, left leg. We'll come through here. He's like, and see, I don't want to ask questions the entire time. You know, I don't want to hold pressure on him the entire time, only as needed. So I kind of know that he might go to Harley, and he tipped his nose that direction. I'll bump with the right rein, left leg. And see, that's body awareness in myself and in the horse. Now, I don't want to go too heavy. I don't want to go too light. So this infinity loop lets us figure that out. It's really cool. He just took a deep breath. I'll take a deep breath. This is moving and breathing, merging those together. I'll pick up on a right rein, left leg. So I'm in control of what I'm in control of, my body, my right hand, my left foot. And I'm aware of what my body's doing. So he's noticed I itched my nose. He's like, you left, and he took a right turn. He took a right turn. So then I got quick on the reins, asked him to come back on the infinity loop. This is where we get to synchronize together. So my right hand, left leg, and then I go over to this one, switch hands. It'll be my left rein, right leg. And we come around. And then I'll do a one rein stop right here on this left rein. Take a deep breath. Relax my shoulders, hips, and my legs. So this is where it's real important to understand what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what your attitude is, and what your actions are. This infinity loop is like a microcosm playing where you can dial it in. You can really get a deeper understanding of yourself with the guidance of a horse. You know, different horses are different, so I encourage you to play with as many as you can. But it comes into an understanding of what am I presenting to my horse? Do I have a realistic expectation of him doing what it is we want to do? So this one represents health. If you're not consciously aware of what you're thinking, what you're doing, what you're becoming, it's going to be really difficult to advance to the next obstacles in life, or, you know, in the micro, on the next obstacle with your horse. Conscious awareness is the single most important. You know, you have to go within, you have to understand, and you have to present, and you have to be willing to observe the feedback, make necessary changes, and do it again. Then you get into a feedback loop. This isn't a microcosm of horse-human relationship, but it spills over into the macro. Your health is the most important thing. If you don't have that, it's going to be real difficult to do anything else. Health is the most important. Now we could go all the way into, you know, eating right, getting enough sunshine, sleeping good. All of those factor in. This right here will bring you into an awareness. Are you tired? Are you slouched in your saddle? Are you sitting up in your saddle? All of these come into an understanding. Are you balanced? How is your balance? That is part of the health. How is your balance? Are you off balance up here? We'll do some balancing exercises on the ground before you get up here. This is all where, this obstacle is where it all begins. This is where I bring all my students, the very first thing we do. This is what I explain to them. What are your hands doing? What are your legs doing? Are you breathing? What's your heart rate like? Are you thinking in this moment? Are you thinking in the past? Are you thinking in the future? In the micro, we get to play with that. And it's okay. It's an awareness. You know, I'll do 5 of these, and maybe I don't count. I'll do a series of these, 5 to 7, sometimes 3, doesn't matter. But I'm paying attention to myself. I'm going inward. Am I tense in the shoulders while I'm doing this the whole time? Is it a cold day? Is it a warm day? All of these factor in. What has my last 12 hours been like, or 24 hours been like? Have I been stressed out? Mental tension, physical tension? And I bring that to my horse. And it's okay if you do, guys. It's not like you got to be perfect every single time before you get with your horse. That's an accountability partner. That's what they're here for. They'll help you. You present to them, oh man, I have been mentally, tension, thinking about something way too much, and it's got me tense in the body. How do we release that? Take a deep breath, stop, bring it into your awareness, and then go again. So I'm going to do one more of these, and then I'll take you to the next obstacle, and we'll flow right into that. So it's one of these things that each pattern that you do tells us a story. Are we too heavy in the hands? Are we not deliberate enough? Now, when I say heavy, am I pulling on him with like 15 pounds of pressure, or am I fingertip pressure and giving light little bumps? It is a bitless bridle, so you have a larger margin of error. I'm preparing today for tomorrow, so I want my horses thinking, responding quietly. Well, what do I got to do? I got to practice thinking and presenting quietly. Now, could we speed it up? Of course. And I encourage you to. It's one thing to go at a certain speed until you're confident and you develop that skill and experience at that speed. But you can always increase the speed and bring into a new awareness. What happens at speed? With what horse? All of these things are beautiful to experience. So I'm going to pick up on a right rein, come into a lateral, one rein stop, take a deep breath, relax the shoulders, hips, and the legs. That's a very good job there, Piper. Very good job. So there's so many things you could do. I could do a lateral flexion to get down on the left side, and I kind of skipped through that because I wanted to show you this. There's so many things you could do on this if it's not going well, so to speak, if it's sticky, if it's not working. You can actually walk. Come on, Piper. Come on. That's a good boy. And you can walk and do like a decompression walk, I call it. So say things weren't going quite right. He's like, I'm going to take a shortcut, Dad. Things weren't going quite right. You could ask your horse, just follow me. Let's go do this together. He's like, I'll lead you where you want to go. Let's stay in the frame. And once you're cruising on the ground, you can, what are my feet doing? What's my hands doing? Am I tense in the shoulders? Is my breathing short and shallow? Is my heart rate high? Do I just need to stop and decompress and then go again? These are the things you can do in all of these obstacles, but we're trying to gain an awareness of our bodies cutting that corner. Are you being lazy? But we're raising body awareness in ourselves and in our horses. And that's the most important thing. That's what this infinity loop does. It brings you into an awareness. It's healthy. You'll start to pay attention to what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what your attitude is, what your actions are. And in a microcosm with a horse, you get instant feedback. He's going to help you find your center in those four things. It's mind, body, spirit. It is a intricate part of our horsemanship, our life. We've got to really figure out ourselves. If we go inward, present outward, that's how you find it. This will be the second obstacle. And what we do here is what I call a serpentine. And it's just a simple series of cones in a line, and we're going to walk through them. And what they represent are wealth and our 5 main areas of our life. First one being health, infinity loop, wealth, serpentine. And what the serpentine represents is small incremental changes, little corrections over time that are compounding, and you'll get into a flow, and it's easy to sustain. It's not as exaggerated, so it's like a tiny little amount of energy go into the horse. So let me see your face. Lateral flexion. We'll go ahead and mount up. I put my toes in the stirrup. Come on up. And then we'll do a lateral flexion when we get up here. To the right, just to check softness. To the left, just to check softness. Good job. What I want to do now is get on the infinity loop, basically coming off of that, coming off of the infinity loop, we get onto the serpentine. And we just ride these cones with tiny, and if you miss one, that's okay, get the next one. Tiny little inputs. And then this will be an exaggerated turn here to come back around, so it's a left rein, right leg, and we walk right back through. And it's tiny little inputs, yep, tiny little inputs, yep, good job. And we get dialed in, you know, different horses are different, but we get dialed in on this serpentine, left rein, right leg. They're real exaggerated on the infinity loop, and that's the first one. The second one, serpentine, not so much. We want to see how much or how little can we do on the pressure scale, you know, pressure being a question, release of pressure a thank you. How much can we do to get what we're desiring, to where we get into a flow, you know, of energy transfer, and then it compounds over time, you know, thinking, doing, becoming something different than when we started. And I like this one a lot because it's something that we can do together, and it on the micro, and it makes sense in the macro. Because when I go out into the real world, you know, with my horse, I want to be able to ride him with minimal inputs, communicate with him with minimal inputs, so that we can have, you know, the best experience possible the entire time. If I'm yanking on him and cranking on him and bumping on him, I'm gonna, you know, law of energy conservation, if I'm not following that law, I'm gonna burn up all my energy, and then I'll be inefficient, ineffective at communicating with my horse for long-term sustainability. So it's like that in wealth. You know, you want to do little investments over the course of your life that will have a compounding effect and sustain. And you know, it's like if you look at, so I hang out with these really smart people, and I coach them and they coach me. It's kind of cool, but they'll tell me things like, if you look at a person's bank account for the last 3 months or last 2 years, that's a moral document. And you can tell what they invest their time and energy, you know, money into, you know, their wealth. What are they building as far as monetary? You know, that tells a story. Well, our horses kind of tell a story too. You know, when we look back over last 2 or 3 months together, what have we done? What have we become? What investments were made? You know, what's compounded into what we have this very moment? Because remember, whatever you think and do, you become. What you're doing right this very second is the sum total of what you've been thinking and doing to become. And the beautiful thing about horses is they can see where they're going and where they're coming from at the same time, in the present. Yeah, we can kind of do that too. And it's really important to be able to do that, because it'll help you, you know, navigate the now and the future. You know, you can't change the past, but you can sure learn a lot from it. And horses allow us to present ourselves to them, make changes, get desirable results. So I'm going to do a 1 rein stop just right here. Boom. Take a deep breath. Relax my shoulders, my hips, my legs. He just took a deep breath, and he'll relax. These are synchronizations. These are tiny little investments for the long run. Whenever I can trigger a body responsive relaxation in my horse, intentionally do that, he will realize what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Not only will it benefit him, it'll benefit me, because it'll bring into my awareness that I need to do it as well. Sometimes they'll know you need to do it, and it'll trigger you to do it. And it's very important. So it's like if you do this pattern, and you do 5 or 6, 7 of them, and you come to a stop, it's a stop exercise, and you assess what you just did. So that way when you go forward in the future, you can make necessary changes to get better, desirable results. That is what is called an interactive system. Interactive with you and your horse in a feedback loop to get desirable results, get the predictable results. You can make necessary changes. And that's your wealth. You want to do that same thing. You know, what have you been spending your money on in the past few weeks, in the past few months, in the past few years? Have you been investing it or spending it? I invest time with my horses for reward. I understand that each investment is a compound, has a compounding effect. It's going to pay dividends. Sometimes they're immediate. A lot of times they're in the future, and that's okay. You know, I have Harley just out of the frame. He's standing there ground tied watching us do this. I practiced with Harley a lot more than I did Piper on ground tie. So he'll stand there ground tied, but not for as long as Harley will. So it's the time investment. You get the dividends on what you invest your time in. If you just spend time and you're not really paying attention and you're not trying to work towards something, then it's for nothing really. And this is a really good obstacle to tie all that in, get a deeper understanding of that. You know, it's not as exaggerated, and life isn't always real exaggerated. So there's tiny little course corrections that you can make in the now to get you where you want to be in the future. And you can look at that based on the past. And that's really cool. So we want to utilize this exercise to get into a flow state. You know, we want to be sustainable in doing what we're doing, making tiny little corrections for the long term. So let's go ahead and squeeze to go. So if I was going to do this out in the real world focus riding, this is where I practice. You know, I will drift, call it drifting. I will drift around trees, pine cones. I will do those things. I'm going to kind of reverse this circle here. We'll do a bump on the right rein. He's a little stiff, left leg. Just be more deliberate in communication. What's my body doing, and how much pressure can I not have to do? Meaning, what are the little tiny increments that I could do to get the desired results? And then I'll just do a one rein stop here. Good job. I'll do a lateral flexion here. Good job. And then I'll come down. And that's pretty much it. We would go to the next obstacle. We're doing the third obstacle. And this one represents happiness. 5 main areas of our life, association with 5 obstacles. First one being the infinity loop. Second one, serpentine. This one is just 2 cones. And this is going to represent happiness. And what is happiness? Well, it's where you find joy. You know, how do we find joy in something? Well, we look at it from 360 degrees perspective. So let me see your face. We're going to do a lateral flexion. Good job. That's asking him, are you with me? If he gives to that, he's pretty much saying yes, and he will let me get on his back. If he's bracy and rigid, he's kind of like, no, I'm not with you. So let's go ahead and turn this way, Piper. High performance horse. So we'll get on this 2 cones after we come off the serpentine. And what we're going to do is imagine that there is 2 circles. And you could do a tight circle to the left on this first cone. And that's just bringing your horse around, left rein, right leg. And you do a small circle. And then you let him drift out onto a bigger circle. So we'll do a left rein, right leg. And what I'm doing is, you know, that cone obviously is what we're circling. And if it's an oblong circle, that's okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. But this is where you figure out what pressure on the left rein, right leg, do I have to give the horse to figure out how to stay on those circles. And it's an imaginary line. So I don't even know where the line is until I get on it and create it. And then I look at it, that cone, from 360 degree perspective. And that's how we're going to look at, you know, happiness. What do we find joy in? Well, if you're not finding joy in doing something, look at it from a different perspective. Look at it from another degree on the circle. So he wants to go to Harley. I'll just give him a left rein, right leg. And then we'll do a right circle here. So it'd be a right rein, left leg. And I feel that magnetic pull toward Harley, which that's fine. This horse has a little bit of a separation anxiety. Kind of one of the reasons I brought Harley with us. We'll drift out onto a bigger circle. Good job. I want to stay in that frame. We're closer to the camera there, buddy. So you could do a small circle and a big circle. And then if you'll notice, you're crossing back to the center, through the center, and it's turned into another bigger infinity loop where you can see where you're going, see where you've been. You can come to the center and allow those processes to catch up. You could come to the center and stop, and which we're going to do in just a moment. He's already getting triggered body responses of relaxation. But I'm going to bring him into the center here, and we'll do a one rein stop. Take a deep breath, relax the shoulders, the hips, the legs. And you can allow those processes to catch up by looking at what just happened. What were the highlights? Was I asking deliberately enough? Was I in focus? Was I thinking about something else? Was I in control of what I can be control of? My thoughts, my emotions, my attitude, my actions. Am I presenting to the horse the most efficient and effective way by having those in control? Meaning, am I thinking exactly what I want to be thinking about? Am I feeling, based on those thoughts, exactly what I want to be feeling? Are the actions that I'm presenting in alignment with thought and emotion? You know, the inner pathway of communication, the outer pathway of communication, are those in flow? Are those restricted and blocked? Am I frustrated? Those are questions that will arise in these obstacles. That's how you find, you know, what you're looking for. So nature's hiding secrets from us. I'll just let you in on a secret. Nature is hiding secrets from us. If we align in those four things, thoughts, emotion, attitude, action, we are setting ourselves up to receive information that we really don't even know exists. In other words, the secrets that nature's keeping from us, you know, horses are awesome at letting us see those. But we've got to align and be worthy to receive those. So if this horse is not responding correctly, I've got to make a change. What is that? You know, is it body awareness? Am I not aware of, you know, the feedback he's given me? How do I become aware? Practice. That's what we're doing. So we do these little circles on these cones. Draw an imaginary line, get on it, and then you can realize, oh wow, I see where I want to go. It's not happening. What do I got to do to course correct? And then once you figure that out in this micro, you can take it into the macro and understand it better. You know, nature is hiding secrets. I'm going to tell you. And those secrets start to get revealed when you go inward and present outward. Now I'm doing these in an arena, doing these obstacles in an arena. So let's just turn to the camera here for a second, buddy. And then we'll one rein stop right here. And good job. But this is preparation for the outer world. You know, this is a micro, an arena, 5 obstacles. So I intentionally just kept talking. He took a deep breath, reminded me to take a deep breath, synchronize those internal, synchronize the external. So thought and emotion, internal. External would be attitude and action. So his attitude, relax. Good. He's not head high wanting to go anywhere. Good. His actions, stop. Great. Now I can explain to you what it was I was trying to. And see, that's what happens. And then you just get this reciprocal feedback loop, transferring energy or information to where you can unlock these secrets I'm trying to tell you about. So you take what you learn in here, and then you go into the 5th level of horsemanship. We have 5 levels. This 4th one is obstacles. 5th one is real world focused riding. Take everything you learned in here out there in the macro. You're set up for the best success to go anywhere and do anything you want with a horse, without a horse, because the same laws are there. The same secrets that are in nature are revealed, and that's where you get to go and explore it. But it starts here, and this is a really, really good exercise. Let's go over there to the camera. Really, really good exercise to imagine a line on the ground. Create circles on that imaginary line, and understand that you're looking at things, you're looking at that cone in a 360-degree view. You know, he gets to see it in his left eye, he gets to see it in his right eye, but he can see it coming and going, and then stuff starts to synchronize, internal and external. You're creating something that doesn't exist. Were our circles perfect? No, doesn't matter. The synchronization is what we're after. Body awareness in myself, body awareness in my horse. When we synchronize up and we have an ability to communicate internally and externally, and then we go into level 5, outside influences have little to no effect on us, on myself, on him, on us together. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. So this ground tie, Piper's not the greatest at it. If I want to ask him to ground tie, I have to set the stage where it's the most probable outcome. It's always definitely a possibility, but the probability is what we want to increase. How do we do that? Well, as we do in these obstacles, and he's starting to decide, well, I really am kind of wanting to relax now. I like our stops and triggered body responsive relaxation. I like just quiet, calm thinking. And then I ask him to do some more. And then he starts saying, I really like standing here. Well, that's when you'd want to offer this. Yeah, okay, you want to stand? Stand there. Peel off and disengage off the hindquarter, and then walk out so you're not drawing him to you. And then ask him to stand there. And then increase that time over time. And that's just one little piece of all the beautiful things. There's millions of things that are going to come into this. That's just one of the beautiful things that does come in. You know, asking your horses to ground tie, asking them to relax, asking them to just be. And they're real good at that. But if we never offer it, they'll never do it. So hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. We are now on our obstacle course, and we're doing number 4. And in the 5 main areas of our life, number 4 would represent what, Piper? Represents relationships. Now, I do want to point out, relationships are with everything, not just horses, not just people. Relationship to the universe, you know, you in verse. It's really important to understand these 5 main areas of our life, these 5 obstacles. As we do them, we're discovering what? Ourselves. We're discovering our relationship with our body, how we move, how we perceive ourselves, how we present to the horse or whatever we're in relationship with, and then how that's perceived. So how do we perceive ourselves? How does the horse perceive us? In other words, micro, this little relationship. I perceive myself one way, I present myself to the horse, I get to see feedback, and then I'll start to understand how he perceives me. And then I'll really get an understanding of how far apart those perceptions are. So this is where we're, in the obstacles, this is where we're transitioning from where we were to where we want to go. And then this obstacle is simply a bridge. The bridge represents a lot of things, and there's a million ways to explain all these different things, and I'm probably going to just repeat doing these videos with another horse because it could change when you get a new horse. You know, things come in from that horse, that relationship, and that's why they're unique and individual and different. It's just like people. You know, we're all one, but we're fractals of the one. We're all important. You know, you take one thing, just like in the last lesson, there's 360 degrees to look at that one thing. And those are perspectives. So you meet all these different people, you'll get all these different perspectives. And then it's infinite. It compounds into something so beautiful. It's hard to explain on a video, but let's stay on track. This 4th one, we just come off of the 2 cones of happiness, you know, imaginary lines, looking at something in a 360 degree and finding joy. That's what happiness is. Body awareness, presenting to our horse. About that time, my students are really finding joy in riding horses. They're like, oh my gosh, there's something to this. We started on the infinity loop. We went to the serpentine. We went to the 2 cones. Now we're on the 4th one, which is a bridge. You'll basically come off of this. I'll just demo it. Basically come off of this last cone, last exercise in that obstacle, and you'll head straight to the bridge. And the purpose of that is to bring your eyes up. Because a lot of times in these obstacles, people will look at their hands, they'll look at their horse. It's like when you first learn to drive a car, you're looking at the steering wheel and the key and the gas pedal and the gear shift, whatever. When you got to finally bring your eyes up and look out of the windshield, get the big picture. This is where we really bring our eyes up and start to understand in the micro. Bring our eyes up. We can still communicate with our horse, with our hands and our legs through feel. I am going to look down if I need to. Not saying don't look down, because I'll have some students, they're like dead stare up and they won't look down. It's one of those things with experience you start to understand. And bringing your eyes up, looking ahead in the micro, you'll do that in life. You'll understand you're transitioning from where you are to where you want to be. That's what this represents. The bridge, once we cross over that bridge, it's just a psychological, it's an actual physical, mental, spiritual awareness that's developed. It's like, okay, I can actually get on the back of a horse, communicate with the horse, and not have to focus intently on the horse. It's a subconscious is starting to get trained, starting to be able to do things naturally without consciously thinking. So the infinity loop, the serpentine, the cones, the bridge, and then we go to the 5th one, which I'll explain in the next video. But this bridge is real important, and I'll give you a demo. So I'm going to just do a lateral flexion. Are you with me? He says yes. Put a toe in the stirrup, mount up. I'll do another, he does it for me, right lateral, just to, before we take off, I'd like to ask him those and ask him to wait for me. So we just came off of that cone. We'll just pretend we just came off that cone. And the objective is to look at the bridge. It's like I'm going to transition from where I am to where I want to be. I'm bringing my eyes up, keeping my horse between my reins, so I'll give him a right rein or a left rein as needed to stay on course. I'll keep him between my legs, left leg or right leg as needed. We'll go up over this bridge. Sometimes I'll just stop, take a deep breath, and then go again. And then we can turn, just a right rein, left leg, and we can come back over the bridge. Generally I don't. It's just a simple eyes up, go over the bridge, keep those eyes up, and feel the horse between your reins and your legs. And then we go on to the 5th exercise. But this is in conjunction with 5 obstacles. This one represents relationships. What is my relationship developing with myself and my horse? How do I perceive myself? How does the horse perceive me? Those are the questions that will arise. Am I able to communicate with him, understanding body awareness at this point? So he just took a deep breath. It's important to breathe. And guys, I'll do this without video, and they flow. They flow together. I don't care who you are, but when you turn on a video camera, things change psychologically. It's like, well, for one, your concentration is broken. Whenever I'm with him without a video, I'm 100% with him. I can ask him questions. I've synchronized the inner and outer. The feedback loop is in flow. It's not circular. It's circular. It's not egg-shaped, so to speak. It's not intermittent. It's flowing smoothly from me to him, back to me to him. I'm noticing subtle differences. They're obvious, but they're a lot easier to see when you're in 100% the moment, when you're in flow. When all your skill and experience and challenge pretty much are even, and the horse is comfortable, confident, you're comfortable and confident, that's what this 5 levels does. Get your body into that to where when you go with them into the macro, it's sustainable. It's tough to make these videos to where you can really understand that, but as you do these in flow, it will become real apparent. You play with this, you create something that doesn't exist, you think, do, and become yourself and your horse, enrich each other's lives, and that's what it's all about. If you have any questions, post them in the comments. We're at my favorite obstacle, and here's why. It's freestyle, and it represents spirituality. It's a really cool one because I think it represents getting on a path that's not so clear, but it becomes clear once you're on the path, if that makes any sense. This is where we open our mind, open our heart, we watch it unfold as it does, and then we find the answers as needed. As we're on this path, answers come. We attract them. We gain access to the secrets that are hidden from us. That's a really cool thing. As you've learned from the past videos, you must go inward. You must understand to control what you can control. Your thoughts, emotions, that's the inner pathway of communication. Attitude, action, that's the outer pathway of communication. How do I perceive myself? How does the horse perceive me? We're going through the 5 main areas of our life, our health, our wealth, our relationships, our happiness, our relationships, and our spirituality. Those are going to get easier as we correlate in practice what it is we want to create. When we go inward and we can think and we can feel, we open our mind, we open our heart, we can create our reality. We can choose to look at the past in a different way, from a different perspective. Can't change it, but we can choose right now how to look at that past. I get horses that come in and sometimes they're not, they're labeled in a way, and they're not that. They'll be labeled something, and we'll call it bad. And I'm like, no, I don't care what your label is. I'm going to go in here, control what I can, present the best version to you, get feedback from you, the horse, and make necessary changes to get the most desirable results. As we get into this conversation, this relationship, the answers come because it's freestyle. I'm controlling what I can, presenting to the horse in the micro, but in the macro, the answers come. Why? How does that work? Well, it's because you attract what you are. If you are kind, you attract kindness. If you are wealthy, you attract wealth. That may sound weird, but that is. If you are healthy, you attract health. You got to think what you want to become what you want. I want a calm, quiet thinking horse. I have to become that. I want a horse that was labeled erratic and chaotic, bucking, all that, in which case he was. And I want to have what you're getting ready to see. So I've got to become that. I got to present what I expect. So let's get on this little freestyle exercise. It represents the 5th main area of my life, which is spirituality. And we could do a deep dive on all those things. And if you watch enough of my videos, we'll probably share some of that. But if you have questions on it, just put them in the comments. We'll see what we can do. But I always want to invest the time with my horses to get intrinsic value, tangible rewards for myself and them. He keeps asking. If you've noticed, he's asking, what are we doing? What are we doing? I'm with you. I'm with you. I love that. He's wanting me to engage in conversation. If you've read my book, I talked about Piper in there on your mind drifting from the moment. This freestyle exercise brings your mind into the moment. Piper loves me to be here 100% with him. When my mind would drift, like we'll be out in level 5 riding, and this is in my book, and I'll summarize it, he would command my attention, but my mind would drift. So he would do something very obvious to get my attention. And you read the book, you'll see what it was. But that's where we get to practice this for out there. This is the micro in an arena, 5 obstacles, very simple, me and the horse, for when we go out into the macro. I'm going to present what I expect. I'm going to wash, rinse, repeat, another law of repetition. I'm going to abide in that. I'm going to hold on to what's good. I'm I'm gonna prove all of those things and hold on to what's good. And then we can create this relationship that I'm after. So I'll basically come off that bridge, which was the fourth obstacle, and I'll come on to this fifth one, which is simply logs on the ground in a random pattern. And I'll just start asking my horse questions as we get on them. You know, it might be some tight turns and it might be some drifting, but I'll just start asking as we do it. There's no set rule. There's no correct way. There's no incorrect way. It's what it is. We're just flowing through this obstacle. You know, I may come through here and then ask for a sudden turn to the left and go over these logs. And then I'll come through that chute, or right at the last second I'll turn and go the opposite direction. What I'm trying to find out is if I did get into the real world with this horse and we're walking in the real world and there's obstacles that just arise because I can't account for everything that's going to be out there. What pressure at what time for the response that I need with this particular horse? This is where I can find that out. Now, do I have to change for this horse as opposed to that black horse right there, Harley? Absolutely. If I expect, well, everything is just going to be the same with every relationship I ever have with every horse, that's an unrealistic expectation. So this is where, you know, freestyle, the answers come that I don't know how to, you know, I don't know them until they come. I don't know how much pressure to apply on the rein and on the leg. I mean, I couldn't even tell you what to do. Here, let me just stop him so I can explain this, because it's going to be a little bit difficult to, as we're going to explain it, because you can't talk as fast as you can do things. So if I'm cruising through here and I get the idea, let's turn left, let's turn right, let's stop, let's back up, let's go over that log, and it's as we're flowing. The answers to how much pressure on the left hand, on that left rein, do I need to effectively accomplish that thought that I just had? So the thought, the action. We'll just skip from thought to action. I want to maneuver through this freestyle obstacle course. There's no set rule, there's no set way. I just jump on it and start playing. Well, in spirituality, you may not have the answers, and I can't give them to you. Nature's hiding those from me, they're hiding them from you. It's our job to go find them. How do we do it? All these four obstacles have prepped you to this very one. You go inward. You align your thoughts, emotions, attitude, action. You present them outward in the micro to the horse. Any relationship to anything, anyone. And then you observe the feedback, and then you make necessary changes. And then you feel it. It's experienced. So you feel it through your senses on all three planes, the mental, physical, and then the spiritual plane comes in to where you get the answers you need to the questions you didn't even know to ask. And that's what this represents. And then you'll play with this and then repeat. So come to a stop and then repeat. Go to infinity loop. Number one, focus on your health. Your breathing and moving merge together. Number two, the serpentine, your wealth, tiny little increments to create, you know, over a long-term sustainability. It's just like the stock market. If you've ever studied the stock market, it's like you track a stock. It's going to do tiny little ups and downs all through the minute, the hour, the day, the week, the month, the year, the years. And you can see a trend. Is it trending up? Is it trending down? Is it trending lateral? That's what this represents in the micro. Are we trending up? Are we trending lateral? Are we trending down in where we want to be from where we are? This is freestyle, this exercise right here. Again, it releases a lot of pressure. You don't have to do anything in a certain way. There's no rules. I mean, it's a safe place to make a mistake. You get to present yourself to the horse in real time to see what the feedback will be, make the changes, and do it again. And you get into that feedback loop where you understand what I'm thinking and feeling, what my attitude and actions are presenting, feedback on my horse, what my perception is, what his perception is, how far apart are those. When that manifests into a reality where you get a depth of understanding, you get the true essence of that. When a sense and understanding merge together and you get the true essence, that's when you have the confidence to know that whatever you go and do together, outside influences will have little to no effect on your ability to accomplish whatever it is you want to do. It's endless, it's infinite. That's the macro. When you do this in the macro, you can go and create the life you want. You can create the reality that you want. Horses are a guide. They're accountability partners. They're how I can see myself in the micro with no judgment, because this horse doesn't care how much money I have in my pocket. He doesn't care about the color of my skin. He doesn't care about that stuff. What he does care about is how much I care about him. And the only way to prove that to him is I have to care about myself. And then I have to present myself to the horse. And then he has to understand that I care about him and then give me feedback. And I have to be willing to receive it. So it's breathing in, it's breathing out, it's giving and receiving. It's not, I'm going to take and keep, forced to submit. We're opposite polarity of that. I'm going to give and receive, on that polarity scale. And then he's going to realize, oh, he can give. He can come from his true self, his seed of authenticity, and he can give to me so that I can allow him to operate in his comfortable space and fulfill his purpose, and then vice versa. And then I get to practice that in this micro, which is so cool. And I can take what I learned from the horses with the horses out into the real world and create my health, create the wealth that I want, create the happiness, finding joy. Remember the 2 cones? We find joy. Imaginary line, 360-degree perspective on that one thing. What's the key to all of this? What is one key that you've kind of seen happen in all of this? Well, it's moving. Keep moving, keep breathing. Take those steps. If you stand still for too long, you're not investing anything other than just being, which is a good time investment. But if you keep moving and you keep breathing, you keep discovering, and then there's a balance. You do stop, you do breathe, make assessments, and just be. And then you do it again. And there's nothing wrong with stopping. Stop exercise is mandatory. I'm here to tell you. Assess the situation. Even on the macro, sometimes we'll get into some people call it a funk, but sometimes you'll get into like a stagnant part of your life where nothing's really happening. 2024 could be described like that for a lot of people. Had a lot of students come through and they're like, yeah, kind of 2024 is kind of just this stagnant, boring, didn't feel like I was real productive. There's a lot of, on that polarity scale, just a lot of inefficient, ineffective things happened. Well, that's okay. That's a contrast. That's why we're here. We get to see contrast. That's why contrasts are so good, because they're, and they're close together. You get to see them, night and day. That's a contrast. You get to understand that. Different horses, that's a contrast. Some horses like to go fast, some like to go slow. Sometimes you have to speed up your input, sometimes you have to slow them down. That contrast is why we're here, what we're here to learn. Love and hate, contrast. Polarize one way or the other. You choose. Go ahead, soften up, buddy, soften up. Let's just straddle that right there. Good job. That's what we get to play with in this micro. You can see that, I'm going to go ahead and do a lateral and come down. You can see that Piper's kind of wanting to stand around a little bit, so that's cool. I'm just going to do a little bonus to this video. I hadn't really planned what I was going to do the entire thing, so I'm going to take this bridle off, and I'm going to ask Piper to stand ground tied, just for a simple little exercise, and we'll ride Harley. We'll ask Harley jump on this obstacle, and we'll do a little freestyle with Harley. One of the most beneficial things that I've ever, I guess, invested the time to do was ask my horses to ground tie. And not because it's just convenient for me to ground tie them and do what I need to do, but it triggers body responses in them of relaxation. So if you watched earlier videos of me putting the halter on Piper, notice how I just took it off and he didn't even care about his ears. That's the way he's been the whole time that I've had him. You know, he came to me with the ear issue. I made necessary changes to accommodate him, and I'll bridle him up by taking my bridle apart and putting it on like a halter. And he's different than all my other horses. All of them, they'll halter the same. Stay right here. They halter differently. Now, when I asked him to stay right there, you stay right there too, it was because I didn't want him to draw off that ground tie. To properly disengage, I'd come off the hind quarter, come away from him, and it doesn't draw him off of that ground tie. So just a quick little lesson there in the ground tie piece. So Harley, he's been ground tied all these videos. So I'm going to ask him, you know, to move, and I'll put the bitless bridle on him. If you're interested in getting yourself a bitless bridle, I'll put the link in the description below, in the comments below. So I'll put Harley's little ear in there, his other ear in there. Good job. Oh, that feels good. You want me to scratch your head? I know. Yeah, it does feel good, doesn't it? Let me just make sure this is on your face good. All right, I'll scratch your head one time. Okay, I'll scratch it. All right, now we got to do video. So, ground tie is a place that a horse goes to. Why? It benefits them. The only reason a horse will do anything is because it's of benefit to them. And that's where we got to check in with ourselves. What is it that we're presenting? What is benefiting us? You know, this game of life that we're in, it's real important to understand. It is a game. And it's a game of how to not get hurt and how to benefit. So if I can show horses the benefit of everything that we're doing, that's a valuable investment. It'll pay dividends, just like you're seeing right here, right now. So I'll do a lateral, put a toe in the stirrup, and mount up on Harley. And he walked off, so we'll just do a left lateral. And we'll do a right lateral. He's ready to go. Good job, good job. And then we'll ask him to wait. He's trying to cruise to that gate, so we'll just turn him away from the gate. And we'll go through this little obstacle. So Piper may draw off of that, and then he may not, because he's kind of been acting like he's a little bit lazy. So we'll come into this box and we'll stop here, and then we'll relax. Take a deep breath. Relax the shoulders, relax the hips, relax the legs. See, this freestyle one is my favorite. There's no set rule of how you have to do anything. So we'll drift out away from Piper just a little bit more. We'll ask a left rein, a right leg. Harley's not really warmed up, so we'll just do our warm up on this little obstacle. We didn't do 5-part series on the ground, you know, ask him questions, get a deeper understanding of him, so we can go ahead and ask now. You know, Harley's a seasoned horse, so he's asking if he can stand here. Let's keep going. He's a seasoned horse. He's done this, been there, done that. 5-part series on the ground. Is it 100% necessary? No, not at this stage in the game. Are you getting ready to pee? It's one of those things where when you know your horses, you can ask them questions up in the saddle. So there goes Piper. So we'll ask him to stand. Stand right there, Piper. I'm gonna turn this direction. Oh, he had to pee. Okay, he wasn't leaving. He just shifted to pee. And we'll keep moving. We'll just ask Harley simple questions that I know he knows the answers to. And you could do it in a series of 5, series of 7. But see, I don't know how to tell someone to ride Piper with 5 ounces of leg pressure, 6 ounces of hand pressure on the reins, and then switch to Harley, but be sure and change that rein pressure to 3 ounces and leg pressure to 10 ounces. There's just no way to do that. So these exercises, they reveal that to us. You know, I got to think about it, and then I've got to apply the pressure or the question observe the feedback, make changes. Okay, so good job with that little lesson there, Piper, on your little ground tie. And thank you, Harley, for showing him how to ground tie so that we could do this final lesson. So don't pee on my rope. All right, guys, so as a final cap, running through the 5 main areas of our lives: our health, our wealth, our happiness, relationships, spirituality. Those are all real important to me. Horses have helped enhance each area of my life. These 5 obstacles represent that. You know, the infinity loop, our health. If we're not moving and breathing and synchronizing together, it's going to be real difficult to do anything else. If I'm not in control of me, it's going to be real difficult for me to ask them anything that they can synchronize with, you know, that they can understand in a consistent manner. You know, if I'm erratic and chaotic one day, and then erratic and chaotic another day, and then calm this day, and erratic and chaotic, and then it's just not consistency. It's tough for them to figure out what it is you want. You know, we have to do non-verbal communication. It's not like human to human where you can actually verbally communicate and sort through some things. These guys they're just sitting there getting inputs from you. So you got to kind of look at it from their perspective. You know, I call it shape shifting. I got to become the horse to understand the horse. And those are real important things to understand whenever we're doing these. So that second one, the serpentine, you know, that represents our wealth. You know, tiny little increments, compounding effect, over time, sustainability. You know, it's real easy to look in the past on a wealth chart, see where your investments have gone or where your spending is gone. In this, that brings this into perspective. You know, what is our investment with our horses? Are we doing tiny little increments today to prepare us for tomorrow, to get dividends from that? You know, you got to think of it as in wealth. You know, we make an investment. You know, whether it's your time or your money, whatever it is, you're investing to get a return. You know, kindness, invest in kindness, get a return in kindness. It's all relative. It makes a lot of sense once you start doing these things, experiencing these things. And then we'll move on to the third one. What's the third one, Harley? Happiness. You know, what is happiness? You find joy. If these guys aren't finding joy in what we're doing, it's going to be difficult to keep them happy. You know, that happiness is what a lot of people seek, and they don't really seem to be able to find it. But they're not finding joy in what it is they're doing. You know, from the most mundane things to the big things, you got to find joy in that. You know, a lot of people work at a job they cannot stand, and I've coached a lot of them, and it's just simply not finding joy in something they're doing at work and building upon that. And that is one of the most compounding. Whenever we talk about tiny little compounding effects, when you start finding joy in the little things, those are compounding, and then they grow and they develop into happiness. And that's what we want to do. We want to find happiness. Look at one thing from 360-degree perspective. You know, where you work, there's got to be something there that you can look at from a different perspective. Then you'll get into the flow, and it starts compounding, and then you start to find happiness. You know, you'll be happy. Okay, so the next one, the fourth one, bridge. You know, we're going to transition from where we want to be to where we want to go, from where we are to where we want to go. Talk about an outside influence, right? I mean, this guy, I tell you what, it makes sense because it's relationships, and that's the fourth one. And we associate transitioning from where we are to where we want to be. It's a relationship with everything, relationship with ourselves. Are our eyes up? Are we looking to discover? Are we understanding within and presenting outward? Are we focusing? Where is our attention going? That's where your energy's going. If we're looking outward and going, that's where it's going to go. If we're looking at the horse, that's where it's going to go. They can look forward and behind them at the exact same time. So in other words, they can see where they're going, and they can see you on their back. Let that sink in. So what are you looking at? They're going to be looking at what you're looking at. So if you're looking forward, the horse is seeing what you're looking at. If you're looking at them, they see you look at them. And it's one of those things they let you know. It's like, what are you looking at? Put your attention what you want. That's where it's real important. So this fifth one, one I really, really enjoy, spirituality, freestyle. This freestyle obstacle, spirituality. You will attract the information that you need when you're in total alignment. The secrets of nature will be revealed to you when you're in total alignment and you become what it is you want. And you think, you do, and you become. And that's it. Go inward, present outward, and you'll attract what it is you want. You'll gain access to those secrets. And horses are the best guide. I got to do this with them for almost over 2 decades, we'll say that. And these guys, they're ready, willing, and available. They abide in these laws of nature. And the Hermetic principles that we talked about in other videos, they abide in those. They understand them. If we align with those, then we've proven we're worthy to receive these secrets I speak of. And horses help that. They help it along. They're not to be worshipped or anything, but they are accountability partners for you to become better at everything, all areas of life. So I'm going to disengage off of Piper's hindquarter, and then we'll make some more videos for you in the future. I'll leave you with this. If you have any questions, put them in the comments, and I'll answer them the best way I can. Isn't that sweet? 2 little buddies. Man, I have the best life, guys. And I'm so happy to be able to share it with y'all. That's what Piper thinks about that. Oh, yeah. Good stuff. All right, take care, guys. Till next time. Bye-bye.